Super Bowl in the AFC runs through Baltimore. The Patriots drop to the 3 seed. They lose to the Dolphins. They are playing on Wild Card Weekend for the first time in a decade. Titans grabbing the final wild card spot with their win over the Texans. Let's take a look at the NFC, shall we? As you see here, the Niners wrapping up the crown and the #1 overall seed. They win over the Seahawks. We got highlights right now. The Saints lose the 3-way tiebreaker at 13-3 atop the NFC. They play also on Wild Card Weekend. And when you look at the NFC East, the Eagles beat the Giants to wrap up the title. They host the Seahawks next Sunday afternoon. And speaking of the NFC East, of course, we've got breaking news right now. We just mentioned that Giants game. They've been looking good of late. And Good Morning Football, presented by Intuit QuickBooks, welcomes in Ian Rappaport right now with the latest on what's going on with the Giants.
Sources say that Giants coach Pat Shurmur has been fired after just 2 seasons. The Giants now, again, need another head coach to shepherd Daniel Jones into the new era for this organization. They had a staff meeting just a couple minutes ago. Giants coaches were told at that point, Pat Shurmur, really not a surprise. Everyone knew after the loss yesterday that it was officially done. Well, now it is officially official. The Giants are expected to begin their coaching search right now. Pat Shurmur out of a job in New York. One of the most coveted openings has just been created.
Ian, this is obviously big news in New York, and Giants fans watching might have expected this. Do we have any word on the general manager, Dave Gettleman, and what the situation there as we look forward to the next couple of days as everyone is looking to hire new head coaches?
My understanding at this point, it was just Shurmur that was fired. I've not had word on general manager Dave Gettleman, although I do know he told reporters leaving the locker room yesterday that he planned to see them on Tuesday, perhaps an indication that at least he believes he is safe. What we do know right now is that Giants coach Pat Shurmur is now out of a job. The way teams have been doing it is that assistant coaches who are currently under contract remain under contract until the new coach comes in. I would expect that to be the case as well. Either way, big changes once again coming to the New York Giants.
And of course, after the loss of the Giants to the Eagles yesterday, Pat Shurmur did say, this is a wins business. I get it. I get it. Pat Shurmur out as head coach. Ian Rappaport, thank you for joining us. We'll be talking to you in a little bit about the firing of Bruce Allen. Of course, Freddie Kitchens out in Cleveland. Lots of changes as we go here on a Monday morning. Back at the breakfast table, Schrags, back to you. You and I had a lot of morning conversations today about Gettleman and Shurmur, what the future might look like. What do you make of the news?
Yeah, Shurmur 9-23 after 2 years. They're moving on. That's fine. I'm fascinated to see what happens with Gettleman. Obviously, we know he made some major moves this offseason. Has been very outspoken about those moves, getting rid of Odell and what have you. The argument for Dave Gettleman is that he was left with salary cap hell, and if you look at the past 2 drafts, they came away with Saquon Barkley and what appears to be their quarterback of the future, Daniel Jones. As of what Ian's saying and as what I'm hearing, it sounds like Shurmur gone, and we're going to assess Gettleman, but it sounds like Dave Gettleman might be there to stay, which is a fascinating situation when you're looking to hire a new head coach and other Tiffany-type franchises are looking to hire. I mean, if the Cowboys are looking to hire a head coach and the Panthers with a new owner who's willing to spend a lot of money, and the Browns, which has this Baker Mayfield, the Giants having an incumbent general manager might not help necessarily when they're trying to hire a young, fresh new coach. We shall see what happens here. But to see Cowboys, Redskins, Giants all potentially looking to hire the same head coach in the same offseason, the world is changing in the NFC East.
It feels like another win for Doug Peterson this morning. He's the last man standing. A postmortem on Pat Shurmur is tough. I feel like, fine. There wasn't a lot of juice to him. I think he's had a couple shots, and I think Pat Shurmur always now feels to me like he's one of these coordinator guys. He's the Norv Turner All-Star, and that's a fine thing to be a great offensive coordinator. I don't know if you have it as a head coach. Not a lot of great memories or juice. The Gettleman thing is fascinating, of course, and I think Gettleman is an easy target, and a lot of that is he brings on himself with his sound bites and his quotes and whatnot. What I like about Dave Gettleman is he is not afraid to make an unpopular decision.
No, he's not.
No, I mean, he will go there. I mean, the Saquon thing, the trading Odell thing, the Daniel Jones thing.
Landon Collins
gone. I think he inherited a very bad team. I think he's definitely made them younger, and I think he might have made them better. But we don't know. It's a tough one. I actually am in the side of Gettleman on this one.
He's got a great track record, right? Let's be honest here. Those first-round picks you mentioned, Christian McCaffrey the year before that, so he's done his thing. I wonder what the argument would be against him, because there's obviously a theory of cleaning house completely, getting new air in there. They do have, if you look at the facts, together as a duo, 9 wins over the last 2 seasons. So what would be the argument for someone against, between Tisch and Mara having these discussions to maybe clean house and go with somebody new?
Yeah, you want to hire the best head coach possible. He might not want to step into Dave Gettleman's world, and that's what it is. It's Dave Gettleman's world. He's running that draft, and he's working with you as a coach, but he's, been around for a long time, and he's not always the easiest to necessarily get along with if you've got a difference of opinion. And like Kyle said, Gettleman is willing to take big swings and is a man of conviction. He's not a man of analytics. He's not a man of necessarily let's go rah-rah through the. I mean, this is a guy that
drafted a Duke quarterback in the top 10. He didn't care. It was nuts. And Peter, you've spoken about this before. Don't you think the Giants the climate there as a company is not to get the rock star hire? Like, they're not hiring Lincoln Riley. I mean, that doesn't seem like their company MO.
No, but a name that keeps coming up for the Giants is Matt Rule, the Baylor coach.
Interesting, really.
Matt Rule is from Manhattan. He's from the east side of Manhattan, grew up on 30th Street here in New York. Was at Temple and then took a job with Tom Coughlin and for years was an assistant with the Giants and apparently made a great impression on everybody in that organization before taking the Temple head coaching job. So they might not go big swing Urban Meyer, Jim Harbaugh, Nick Saban, but they might consider a Baylor head coach in Matt Rule who's got some ties to the organization.
How was Baylor's defense?
Baylor, I don't know.
I'm saying.
They're 11-1 and they're playing in the Sugar Bowl on Wednesday. Something went right.
Kyle, you said that Gettleman made the team better. Peter, you said he's not afraid to take a big swing. Not every swing was a home run.
Let's talk about it.
A lot of hard strikes. I saw Odell yesterday, man. He looked pretty damn good.
Okay.
And with the season that Baker Mayfield had, I wouldn't say that it was Odell's fault that he wasn't getting the ball. Olivier Vernon, gone. Devon Kennard, gone. Walter Payton, man of the year over in Detroit. Landon Collins, gone. Okay. The Eli Manning / Daniel Jones, is he going to start? Is he going to play benching? That was a debacle. Shurmur here, now he's gone. You're telling me that the guy who was at the head with the puppet strings, making all those moves in a season where they didn't fulfill expectations, and the head coach is fired on this Monday, you telling me he made this team better? You telling me his team is better because of that?
Did you see Saquon yesterday? You see how hard it is to take a running back that high? Did you watch him yesterday?
You're giving me one dude. Yeah. One dude says
I'm sitting there. If I'm in the stands at MetLife, I'm not sure I want Odell back on that field there. He had a nice game yesterday. He made one highlight. He's turned into a 3 receiver. I think maybe that was a good move by Gettleman. I do.
Is this a better team than it was the year before? This team we saw this year?
No.
This team has got progressively worse.
Next year, though. I do. I think they're set up to be next year.
What do you mean? They've got their... Look, everyone said, take Haskins, take Haskins, take Haskins. 1 year in, I think Daniel Jones is a pretty good pick over Haskins.
I didn't say anything about that. Daniel Jones looks good. He has some fumble problems, but I feel like he can fix that.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, if the house is burning, you might want to look at the man with the gasoline canister in his hand, and that's Gettleman.
I'll tell you, a lot of Giants fans agree with you, Nate. A lot of Giants fans.
A new head coach, though, you think he wants to sit down with Dave Gettleman and the old school and the transitions, lenses, and the one-liners? That seems like a lot to deal with.
No.
I don't know about that.
And there's a lot of attractive jobs. I'm telling you, this Carolina job is a great job. Tepper's willing to spend whatever it takes to bring you in and wants to do forward-thinking stuff. Dallas Cowboys, to be coach of the Dallas Cowboys is a great job. The Browns, you're inheriting a lot of fan base, love and tradition. Gettleman might not be something that a lot of head coaches are like, sign me up for that, and I want to just play with his players.
But something about that Giants organization
of course
makes me seem like that they don't do a 2 years and done situation. They like continuity, stability. They're blue chip in that way. So since we know Pat Shurmur is out, we'll be covering the story all day long. The aftermath taking over with Rhett Lewis hosting at 11 a.m. Eastern. We're live until 11 a.m. I got to ask you, Nate, in your eyes, knowing what this Giants team looks like, if they're in your backyard, what kind of a head coach does this team need?
You need a motivator. You need somebody with passion, because young players, they lean on guys that are overly emotional. You can't get a guy that's passionate. I'm not saying that Shurmur was this or that, but I do feel like with one of these young coaches that come in with that energy, that is usually what the team reciprocates. And that's the type of, forget about, if he's going to be an offensive guy or defensive guy, that's all delegation of responsibility. The offensive coordinator, defense coordinator should be bright, young minds.
Let me throw a name out to you. Jason Garrett comes available. He played for the Giants, Princeton guy, New York based. Ian had a report earlier this season that the Giants always have been fans of Jason Garrett. Would you think Jason Garrett is a good hire?
If he brought the same energy that he brought to the Dallas Cowboys over the last handful of years, no. because I feel like Daniel Jones being so young, Saquon being so young, you need a passionate coach. And the reason I say this is all autobiographical. My rookie year, we had Mike Tice, who was passionate. I'm talking about to the point when there was a tough game that we had, he would run out on the field with pads on, talking about he wants to hit people. When we would get ready for the game, he'd look us in our eyes and say, if I have to fight the head coach on the 50, you guys better have my back. All that stuff was all fluff, and he was trying to get us going. But we followed his. For some reason, as a rookie, I felt like if we got in a street fight, I was supposed to swing for every dude in that locker room. Now, that was just him motivating us. And I didn't see that in some of these coaches that are being let go today. The teams weren't willing to fight for him. And we saw it. It was evident on the field. They need a passionate head coach that can come in and motivate them.
I said Matt Rule. 2 other names that you will hear. Josh McDaniels, for sure, because there's an affinity there. Here's a wild card one. Jim Schwartz, the Eagles defensive coordinator. I mean, this is a guy who's Georgetown educated, respected by a lot. And
passionate.
You want to talk about discipline and passion. What their defense has done over the second half of the season, Eagles, that could be a possibility.
Peter, why am I surprised that I'm very surprised that Rivera is tied to the Redskins and not to the Giants because of his relationship with Gettleman, who has not been removed from his position. What is happening?
Fair question, Kay.
Yeah,
fair question.
He seems like the bell of the ball. Maybe he should play the field a little bit more. That's all right.
I don't know. But yeah, and you're telling the Redskins not to let him out of the building.
Don't do it. Slash his tires.
We've got Mike Garafolo in our building here joining us at the breakfast table via his house cam, I believe. Oh, yes, there you are. Brilliant. Hey, where did the Giants go from here?
Yeah, Kay, let me answer that question that you just had there about Ron Rivera. And I do believe that Rivera was probably trying to send the Giants some smoke signals that if you're interested, I'm looking to close a deal on my next job within the next 24 to 48 hours. Remember, that is what he told Mike Silver the other day in an article on NFL.com. The Giants did not reach out. They did their homework, okay? They did internal homework, and they also did speak to some other folks within the last 1 to 2 weeks here, Steve Tisch particularly, about potential candidates, but they did not reach out to those candidates. They weren't going to do that until Pat Shurmur was fired. Dan Snyder made the move earlier this year to fire Jay Gruden to get a jump on the process, and now he is in position A with Rivera. And I'm not saying that the Giants would have locked in on Rivera and he would have been the only guy. It's going to be an exhaustive process for sure, but Dan Snyder getting the jump on the Giants, and anybody else who would have been interested in Ron Rivera might land him before he leaves the building, might slash those tires, as Kyle suggested, whatever he's got to do to get it done there. And going back on what Peter said about Jason Garrett, Ian did have that report. It was the next to last year for Tom Coughlin with the New York Giants. That's when Garrett's contract lapsed with the Cowboys. One of the reasons that the Giants kept Coughlin is that Garrett was not available. Another reason was that Coughlin actually closed down the stretch. It's not like it was Garrett or bust there. So if he's a part of this coaching process, if he's one of the candidates and they interview him, would not be shocked at all. But obviously, Garrett in a much different place coming off an extremely disappointing season with the Cowboys than he was 5 years ago.
They finish 8-8, missing the playoffs. The Eagles, really the only quarterback or team situation with any stability at the coaching position. They wake up ready to host the Seahawks on Sunday, while the rest of the NFC East dealing with changes ahead in 2020. We'll hear more about Jason Garrett. We heard from Jerry Jones last night. We'll be breaking this down all morning long right here. Love you. Thank you.